Cattle have been grazing this green earth for over 10,000 years, acting as their own sustainable factory by turning sunlight into meat, milk, and other products viable for human consumption. Though the forages and feedstuffs they have consumed may have changed over the years, the same old rumen fermentation process on the inside has still remained tried and true. The GI tract of cattle has adapted to different feedstuffs of varying quality and nutrient values in order to get the desired product, energy. Feeding byproducts is a not-so-recent trend in the cattle industry that many producers have taken advantage of. Producers get their hands on these byproducts because they are usually available at a much lower cost than other commodities on the market, while still meeting the nutrient requirements of their animals. Byproducts are the waste or secondary products made from the production and manufacturing of human goods. Here in the Southeast, the most common byproducts fed by producers are soybean meal, cottonseed meal, dry distillers grains, basically anything that comes in a meal. I mean, you could feed these guys Happy Meals and they'd be okay. Anyways, in recent years, many producers have ventured away from the more common feedstuffs and have found themselves feeding some very interesting byproducts, as long as it comes at the right price, of course. Howdy y'all, my name is Savannah Austin, and today we'll be talking about feeding bakery waste and peanut butter, as well as hemp, to these fine animals out here as byproducts, and how these feedstuffs are able to meet their nutrient requirements as an alternative feed source in their food system and diet. So, let's dig in. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about feeding byproducts to cattle. First off, let me just explain to you why these byproducts are very important for producers. As we all know, nutrition is the single largest production expense for producers. Whether they're in cow-calf operations or feedlot operations, nutrition is always going to be the most expensive thing, which is where byproducts come into play, because they can be a replacement for your higher priced commodities like corn and other grains. Byproducts are a good alternative use of waste and secondary products from crop and human food production. They can be very valuable feed sources for beef cattle producers. Byproducts are becoming more readily available to farmers like the conventional feeds, and they are better supplements to pasture or hay feeding than your more conventional feeds as well. So, like I said earlier, the two byproducts we're going to be talking about today is bakery waste and hemp. So, feeding bakery waste, this can be in forms of bread, cake batter, chocolate and frosting, flour, peanut butter, candy bars, basically anything that you can think of that would be waste from a bakery or candy bar manufacturing plant, just anything. These items are usually ones that didn't meet the food processing standards or that were damaged during the processing that cannot be sold in grocery stores or to the public. This does not mean that these products are bad in any way. They're not moldy. They're not going to harm the animal. It's just they did not meet these specific requirements to make it through to the shelves at the grocery stores. It might have been like a dented can or something as simple as that. So a couple of advantages of feeding bakery waste to cattle is that ruminants can recycle bakery-related waste because it adds a sweetness to the ration, so it is more palatable to the cattle, so there's more feed intake, which is a good thing, which is what we want. Cattle love sweets, so they're really going to be begging at the feed bunk to get some more of it. It also provides a source of readily available energy to the animal. That's those carbs and starches. This is where you can replace those rations that have corn and stuff in them with bakery waste, because it'll still provide the animal with the energy that they need for production and maintenance. They're a good substitute for those pricier grains, and they're a new way to economically and feed cattle. Over the summer, I was an intern at United Livestock Commodities, where I saw firsthand of a company feeding out bakery waste. I had never known anything about it before. It didn't cross my mind, and I thought it was very interesting what they were doing. So what ULC did was they replaced corn with peanut butter in their 14% grower ration as an alternative energy-dense ingredient. they were able to get this peanut butter from the Mars plant that was right down the road. And if you don't know, Mars plants are the ones that they manufacture candy bars like M&Ms, Reese's, Kit Kats, Snickers, I think all of them. But anyways, they were able to get those and work out a deal to where Joseph Watson, the owner of United Livestock, was able to get these at a much cheaper price than what the corn was at the moment, and he's been feeding peanut butter in his ration for over 10 years now. The customers seem to love it, and so do the cows. There was a particular study done at the University of Tennessee at Martin. It was a feeding trial to test the rate of gain on the calves of the United Livestock's 14% grower ration compared to the Tennessee Co-op's basic econo ration. And the results from that were on the 60-day feeding period with 50 calves, steers, 25 of them were fed the United Livestock's feed, and then the other 25 were fed the Tennessee Co-op's ration. The ending results showed that calves on the ULC's ration weighed in on average 50 pounds heavier than the Co-op's, which was very neat. This feed's also at a lower price for a producer, so if you're in that area, that's always a good option. However, there is a disadvantage that I would say to including this peanut butter into your ration is that, yes, peanut butter can get very sticky, especially in those summer months, so it can be kind of hard to mix, or it might get stuck in those feed bins, but that's just a minor inconvenience, I would say. So, is bakery waste more efficient than corn-based diets? According to Pablo J. Giroy, a Cornell University graduate student in animal science, he says that ruminants can digest feed that includes bakery products more efficiently than high-energy corn-based diets because the baked goods are already processed, which obviously this makes sense. Having those feedstuffs that are already processed does make it easier for those rumen microbes to really break down and start to degrade these feedstuffs in there. The study included 120 steers that were fed two separate rations, the corn-based finishing ration and then the bread-based finishing ration. All in all, the calves that were fed the bread-based diets had heavier weights at finishing, and they actually reached those finishing weights a little faster than those on the corn-based diet. So now let's get into the hemp side of things. Feeding hemp, the new trend in the hemp industry. Hemp is usually fed as hemp seed cake, hemp seed meal, or hemp seed oil. Hemp seed cake is the more common way to do it for cattle production. Hemp byproducts are being studied as viable protein and fiber sources for cattle in the growing and finishing stages. Hemp seed cake in particular is known for its high protein value. So looking at hemp byproducts in the diet, hemp is known to improve digestion because it is a high fiber feedstuff. That fiber contributes to the rumen scratch factor, which as we all know, it improves the rumen function. Without this scratch factor and without the fiber and forages in the diet, these cattle wouldn't be able to properly digest things in the rumen. So that kind of helps things move along, which is great. Hemp seed meal contains high amounts of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids and high amounts of amino acids, which is where hemp seed cake gets its high protein value from. Hemp is easily comparable to the nutritive value of other byproduct commodities on the market without discounting its own nutrient utilization. So basically, you can change this out with any other byproduct like your cottonseed meals, soybean meals, and you won't have to worry about it having less nutrient value than these. It easily compares with those on the market. One disadvantage that has been seen in the end product of feeding out hemp is that in a pen of feedlot steers that were fed a 14% hemp meal ration resulted in an increase of trans and saturated fats in their fatty acid profiles in the meat. So a couple of hemp rules and regulations that are newer in the hemp industry. So this 2020 growing season of hemp will be the first season of hemp production that is authorized for the sale and regulation of industrial hemp under the 2018 Farm Bill. This 2018 Farm Bill has redefined hemp to include all derivatives, extracts, cannabinoids, and isomers with a THC concentration of less than 0.3% as dry matter weight. Anything with 0.3% THC or more is considered marijuana or the devil's lettuce, whatever you want to call it, which is not what we need to be feeding to our cattle. So hemp grain production, hemp seed cake may have an application in animal feed, but hemp is currently still illegal as an ingredient in commercial livestock feeds. Those cattle that have been fed hemp in the past are not able to be slaughtered at markets because there's not a demand for that meat. Researchers are still trying to test the effects that hemp has on the meat right now. So we do not have any hemp-fed meat on the market currently. There is, however, a very large competitive global market for hemp grain. The only issue right now with the U.S. entering that international market is that this international market is currently at equilibrium, so if U.S. producers try to push a heavy supply without sufficient demand for it, it will flood the market and the prices will drop, and that's just not what we want. That will not be good for anyone. So I just want to say thank you guys for watching. I hope you picked up a little something here or there, whether it was for hemp or feed and bakery waste. Thank you guys again, and I will have my references and stuff in the description below. Thank you.